Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a build for the Grandmaster Nightfall, this time on the Warlock. And this build is going to be pretty good for any of the Grandmasters that you run into this season, but specifically it's going to be really good for this one this week, which is the Heist Battlegrounds Mars. So if you're looking to make the Grandmaster easier this week, or use love spamming abilities, then this is going to be the perfect build for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's build, and if you do, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys aren't already for some more builds. And now let's get into it, and first we're gonna start with the exotics, since those are like the main part of the build. For the armor, we're gonna be wearing the Getaway Artist. This thing is still fantastic, and it somehow just keeps getting better. This exotic is gonna let us consume our grenade to get an arc soul, and also become amplified. The arc soul is really good in PvE, and any damage that it does actually does count as ability damage, so whenever you get some kills, it will proc your Devour, giving you a very easy way of proccing Devour and just getting some follow-up kills. It is great at just dealing with ads, doing a bit of extra damage against champions, and it's something that you're going to be able to use a lot throughout this whole strike. And with the changes to Amplified, now every time that we consume our grenade, we're also going to be getting a bit of damage assistance, a 15% damage assistance, used for being Amplified. So it's actually going to give us quite a bit of survivability with that extra damage assistance, and also with just proccing our Devour over and over again. Now for the weapons you want to run this build, the very first one that you want to take is going to be a sidearm. There is barriers in the strike, so the rocket sidearms are going to be amazing for dealing with them. I would recommend, again, the Tanisha's Mastery, especially if you have a kill clip one. This thing is going to be fantastic. You're going to be able to stun both champions with them, and just pretty much just stare through everything. Choke clip is just crazy on this weapon, so it's going to be really good on the strike. But even if you don't have the choke clip to deal with both types of champions, just the rocket sidearm dealing with those barriers is going to be fantastic. You could pretty much solo the barriers with the rocket sidearm since you output so much damage, and it just makes dealing with them very easy. Now for your heavy, you can go with a linear or with a machine gun. I ended up running some linears in some of them, some machine guns in other, but they both ended up working pretty well. Now if you don't have choke clip on your Tanishas, I would recommend that you keep the linear so you have a consistent way of stunning those unstoppables. But if you do have choke clip with your Tanishas, you could have a little bit more leadway and run a machine gun here, just so you can do some ad clear, since there's gonna be tons of ads in this strike. But the linear works just fine. Both of these are gonna be pretty good. And then for your energy weapon, I would say Lemon Arc still works really well in here. It is still just really good at ad clear and just dealing with enemies, so I think it's still really good in this strike. Or if we have it, the Vet's Mythoclast is also gonna be really good. It can take advantage of part of the construction and also stop the unstoppables. And if you run this, you can run the machine gun in your heavy slot without worrying about not being able to stop the unstoppables, since you have your bets for that. Although our weapons are not gonna be like the only ways that we're gonna be stopping champions, most of the time we're actually gonna be stopping them with our abilities. Now for our subclass, we are gonna be on the Prismatic Warlock. This continues to be just very strong for any endgame content, so that's why we're on it. And for your super, I still think the Song of Flame is just amazing for any type of GM. It gives you tons of survivability whenever you pop it, and it also gives you tons of ad clear and damage if you need it. This is gonna be your oh shit button when things start getting a little bit too overwhelming, maybe too many ads are appearing. You can pop your super and then you start killing them all with ignitions. Or if your teammates go down and you need to get some reses, you could also activate this and just be unkillable essentially. With this, you will also be able to proc your Devour whenever you're in your super, so it gives you even more survivability because you're just constantly regenerating health. Song of Flame is still an amazing super. You can use it offensively, defensively, no matter what it is, it'll pretty much always get you out of a tough spot. Now for your abilities, I would say either Healing Rift or Phoenix Dive are gonna be pretty good for this. I ended up running Healing Rift in the gameplay in the background, since we also had a Ball Charge Titan, so I was just putting down my Healing Rift behind the barrier. But if you wanna use heal on the go, Phoenix Dive is also pretty good. For your melee, you wanna go with the Arcane Needle. We get 3 charges, so we can spam it quite a bit. And also, every time that we hit something with it, they'll unravel, meaning that they'll take a little bit of extra damage. And also, because of one of the seasonal mods, they'll start spawning Threadlings, taking even more damage from the Threadlings. And then for a grenade, we do have to be on the Storm Grenade, so we can actually get the Arc Buddy whenever we consume it. So, that's pretty much like the only thing that we're gonna be doing with this. We're just gonna constantly be consuming our grenade. I did throw it accidentally like one time during the GM, but you wanna consume it every single time. Now moving on to the aspects, the very first one is gonna be the Bleak Watcher. This thing is still amazing for just slowing down and freezing ads, and overall just controlling ads and just make sure that they don't get out of control, since it's constantly used slowing and freezing targets. It is fantastic, especially for activities that have a lot of ads, like this GM this week. So this is something that's always going to be helping you, and with the amount of like grenade energy we get back with this build, we're going to be able to throw down multiple of these, so we're going to be able to have a bunch of them just freezing and slowing targets just constantly, making everything just a lot easier to kill. The second aspect is going to be Feed the Void, and this is where we're going to get a lot of our survivability through Devour. Every time that we get a kill with an ability, we're going to get Devour to proc, giving us health in every kill, and also grenade energy. Devour is one of the main reasons that we're going to be able to throw down so many turrets, because as long as we keep killing ads, we just keep getting energy back and health back, just allowing us to put down more turrets so we can get more kills, so then we can put down more turrets. And this is something that we're going to be able to proc very easily. We're going to have tons of abilities to actually proc Devour and get it going. The easiest one is just going to be activity on the Arc Buddy. Every time the Arc Buddy gets killed, it'll activate our Devour. We can also activate it with our needles, or even the explosions from like the frozen targets that our turret freezes. If they get any kills, that will also proc our Devour. And also whenever you pop your super, when you get any kills on your super, that will also proc your Devour, just adding even more survivability to being in the super. So overall, this is just something that we're going to have on a lot of the time, meaning that we're always going to be getting health and also grenade energy. It's going to be fantastic. Now for the fragments, the very first one is going to be the faceted protection. This is going to give us some damage resistance whenever we're surrounded. In this strike, a lot of time we're going to be surrounded, so this thing is basically always going to be on, giving us a bit more survivability. The next two are going to be so we can spam Transcendence a lot more. That is something that I haven't really mentioned on this build, but yeah, you're going to be able to spam and build up Transcendence very quickly with this build, basically just being able to activate it a lot. And these are two of the fragments that lets us do that. Whenever we have an Arc, Solar, or Void buff, Devour or Amplified is going to be like the main ones we're going to have. Whenever we get some ability Final Blows, we're going to get bonus Transcendence energy, helping us build up that Transcendence faster. And the Faceted Devotion will make it so every time that we defeat a target affected by Stasis or a Strand debuff, so essentially anything that gets hit by our needles or a turret, we're going to get bonus Light Transcendence energy, meaning that we're just going to be building both the light and darkness side just very fast, allowing us to proc the Transcendence a lot. That's essentially just the point of these two, just so we can spam Transcendence as much as we can. After that, we're going to have the Faceted Ruin, and this is going to increase the damage and size of our Solar Ignitions, as well as our Frozen Shatters. So this is going to benefit both in the super and outside the super, giving us even more ad clear, which is perfect for this strike. And the last one is going to be the Faceted Command. Whenever we freeze or suppress a target, it auto reloads our equipped weapon, and whenever we defeat frozen or suppressed targets, we get Stasis Shards. The Stasis Shards are going to be nice for getting a bit of extra melee energy, but the main reason we're using it is for the auto reloading whenever we freeze a target. We're going to be constantly freezing targets, so this is something that's going to proc a lot on this build. Now for the artifact, on the first column you want Piercing Sidearms and Unstoppable Fusion. Now if you went with the Lemon Arc, you want to have Volatile Marksman and also Malignant Harvest, so you can get volatile rounds on your bow, as well as being able to do those weakening explosions whenever you apply Volatile. If you didn't go with the Lemon Arc and you went with the Bets instead, then you don't really have to worry about this. But two others that you definitely want to have are going to be Dreadful Finisher and also Horse Shuttle. Horse Shuttle is what makes the Threatling spawn whenever you hit something with your melee and you do some follow-up damage, just giving you a bit of extra damage. It's not going to be a lot, but it's just free damage, so it's very nice. And then Dreadful Finisher will just make it so you get some special ammo every time that you finish a champion or a yellow bar. You just guaranteed special, so it's always nice. And lastly, for this final column, you want to have Particle Deconstruction as well as Defibrillating Blast. Defibrillating Blast, it is still just amazing in any just nightfall strike, because every time that you stun a champion, you get maximum stacks bolt charge, you trigger that bolt that jolts anything around the champion, and on top of it, it also heals you. This is the perfect mod. You always want to have this. Even when you're not in Arc class, this mod is still fantastic and it's really good. I actually tried it without this one and instead ran Void Floods, but it definitely wasn't as good as the Defibrillating Blast. Especially with a lot of champions being next to enemies in this strike, being next to a bunch of ads. It is very good just being able to jolt them immediately right away. And then on top of that, the bolt charge is coming down and killing a bunch of enemies. It is just beautiful. And then of course, Particle Deconstruction is going to be for your heavy if you decided to go with the Fusion Rifle. Also, if you went for the vets, like I said, this also affects the vets, so that's definitely what you want to go for. And lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're in on this build. First of all, for the helmet, I recommend that you go with Stasis Siphon and Void Siphon, so both your sidearm and your void weapons can make orbs. Since there's so many heavy crates in the strike, I don't really think that you need the heavy on finder. I did have it for the first couple of runs, but with the amount of heavy you really get from those crates, I don't think it's really necessary. Now for the gauntlets, I have bolstering detonation, momentum transfer, and also impact induction. So whenever we do damage with one ability, it recharges our other abilities. Whenever we do damage with our melee, it's going to give us back grenade energy, and whenever we do damage with a grenade, it's going to give us back grenade and also class ability energy. For the chest piece, we just have our resiliences, concussive dampener, and also solar resistance are definitely two that I 100% recommend. It is solar threat, and there's just so many AoE attacks that you definitely want to have concussive dampener. Now for this last one, I think Void or Arc are also both really good, but I think Arc may actually end up being better because there wasn't as many Void things. So I think Arc in this slot actually kind of works better. For the boots, we don't really have anything special. We just have the classic Absolution, also Restoration, Recuperation, so we can get health back with our orbs, as well as get our abilities back faster. And lastly, for the class item, we're going to have Bomber, Distribution, and Reaper, so every time they use a class ability, we can make some more orbs, and we also get a bit of everything every time they use a class ability, including some super with Distribution. So, just spam your class ability as much as you can. This actually works the best on Phoenix Dive, since you can spam it a lot more often, but it's still going to work pretty well on the Healing Rift. And with that, that's actually going to be the end of the build, boys. Now you guys pretty much have everything to be able to take this build into the GM and just start spamming turrets and abilities and everything else that you can spam. Now the main way that you want to play with this build is that as soon as you see the enemies, you want to eat your grenades so you can get the Arc Buddy out, as well as the very first freezing turret. And then after that, you want to do just anything you can to get that Devourer going. That is going to be your first objective, get the Devourer going. After that, you can just start spamming abilities. And you're going to be able to get some more turrets out there every time that you get your grenade up. Basically, every time that you see your grenade is up, just try to eat it to refresh the timer on your Arc Buddy, as well as put down the turret. Besides that, you pretty much just want to spam abilities till you get your Transcendence, and then you pop your Transcendence. Since we are going to be getting it back really quickly, you don't really want to hold on to it too often. Just throw it out there and start just killing everything. Every time that you get a kill, thanks to your Devourer, you're going to be getting health back, and you're also going to get some more grenade energy so you can spam more turrets. That's pretty much the whole gameplay loop. Besides that, you just kind of use your weapons whenever you see fit, and if your teammates go down or things are getting a little bit too overwhelming with the ads, you always have your super to fall back on, whether it's to get reses or to just deal with a lot of the ads. You're going to be able to deal with them with your super. You're also going to be getting back your super very quickly, since you're going to be dealing a lot of damage to pretty much everything with the turrets, with the Arc Buddy, so don't be afraid to pop it. You're going to be getting it back pretty fast. When you're far away from the enemies, I recommend that you use the bow, but once you get up close, I recommend that you start spamming the Nishas, or if you decided to go with a machine gun, you could do that instead. Some of the parts of the GM can get pretty overwhelming with the ads, but as long as you keep spamming abilities and your turrets out there, you should be able to deal with them quite easily. Now, at the end, with the boss fight, there is a cheese spot where you can leave one of your teammates, and he will basically use distract the boss for the entire fight, leaving the rest of your team to essentially just have to deal with the ads. So that's something you can do, and that makes the boss fight just a lot easier. In the boss fight, you pretty much just have to do the same thing as you've been doing throughout the whole strike. Just throw as many turrets down as you can, spam your abilities, and deal with the wizards as soon as you see them. The wizards have to be like the most dangerous enemies there at the end, so definitely take them out as soon as you can. And also whenever you see the champions, a lot of times I would just pop my super and just deal with them as fast as we can. Especially if you get some of those Drain Banes, they're going to be really annoying, so you want to just take them out. So don't be afraid to pop your super and just deal with them. After that, it should be a lot easier. But with that, we're going to end today's video. Like always, there's going to be a dim link in the comments and also in the description below, in case you guys want to equip the build just with one click. And if you guys do end up using this build, make sure you guys come back here and tell me how it went. Do you manage to get the GM clear or not? I want to hear from you guys. Or if you ended up making any changes to the build, I also want to hear that. Anyways, thank you for watching today. Good luck with the Grandmaster this week, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.